Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to everybody. And thank you for joining our webinar today. I'm Katie Shaner, and on behalf of all of us at Advance2000, I'd like to thank you for joining us for our monthly webinar series. We are excited to dive into how smarter infrastructure and cloud strategy can significantly reshape your total cost of ownership and set you up for a stronger 2026. Before we begin, a few quick housekeeping items. This session is being recorded and will be sent out post-event. We will have time for Q&A at the end of today's discussion, so feel free to drop any of your questions or comments in the chat at any time, and we will review them at the end of our session. Today's Advance2000 moderator will be kicking off our discussion, Joe Fagnoli. Joe, I will pass it over to you.
All right, thanks, Katie, and thanks everyone for joining today. Digital technology is recognized as a business enabler, and effective total cost of ownership processes are one of the critical tools. So we're going to spend some time today and look at this total cost of ownership process that we use. Now, we all know digital professionals who understand and can articulate the complete business impact of technology products or services become indispensable strategic partners. Revenue growth and increased profits are the two most essential parameters that determine the value of a company. In the digital economy, information technology is the vehicle that drives both. To improve company profitability, it is imperative to have an understanding of all underlying costs and a plan for minimizing costs, driving revenue, and maximizing asset utilization. A vital tool to assess financial impact is the total cost of ownership analysis. So you might ask, why are we talking about TCO today? Because TCO enforces a discipline for articulating business benefits and impacts in common financial terms. TCO analyses should be used for every digital technology initiative. Now, we all know that the purchase price alone in an IT project usually represents only 20 to 30% of full lifecycle costs. There are hidden cost drivers, maintenance, upgrades, training, downtime, staffing, and those often take clients by surprise. Advance2000 and Group 50 are teamed up to bring a disciplined TCO lens to every digital initiative, ensuring that transformation decisions deliver sustainable value, not surprises. Our TCO methodology helps you to compare architectures, cloud versus on-prem, SaaS versus custom. It helps you to shape, make versus buy decisions with full visibility, and it identifies cost takeout levers early in your roadmap. So I think we're going to have a great conversation today. I want to introduce our panelists. Jim Gitney is the CEO and founder of Group 50. Jim earned his BS in mechanical engineering from the University of Delaware and his MBA from Gannon University, let's just say some number of years ago, and began his career with General Electric. Now, Group 50 was founded in 2004, and it's a team of strategy, operations, manufacturing, supply chain, and organizational development subject matter experts. Jim's team worked with clients. They assess and redesign supply chains, factories, business processes, quality systems, product portfolios, and technology backbones, guiding their change management framework and serving a broad range of industries and clients and companies who are at their inflection point. We're really pleased to have Jim with us today. Brian Moad is the CEO and founder of Advance2000. He's been running this company for over 35 years since he conceived of it in the basement of his college apartment. And now it's a major IT service provider serving many clients in North America and beyond. He's an electrical and mechanical engineer from State University of New York at Buffalo. Advance2000 is a trusted managed security service provider with more than 3 decades of experience helping businesses harness the power of technology, delivering high-performance IT infrastructure, expert support, and tailored solutions that enable organizations to work smarter, collaborate seamlessly, and scale with confidence. What sets Advance2000 apart is that we own and operate our own private cloud, purpose-built to deliver the speed, stability, and security to meet business demand. From supporting complex design workflows to safeguarding sensitive data and ensuring always on-time availability, Advance2000 provides the foundation companies need to thrive. I like to say that Advanced 2000 is built on four pillars of IT: total cost of ownership, performance, security, and privacy. So today we're going to focus on the pillar of total cost of ownership. As we all wrap up our plans for our 2026 IT budgets, we thought it would be great to take the time to have this conversation on TCO of enterprise systems. What is TCO? What can we do about it? How do we use it to make a difference? So with that introduction, I'd like to ask Brian if you could start us out with an introduction to yourself, and then we'll go over to Jim. Jim.
Yeah. Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Sorry, I kind of I was moving things around here and I moved to unplug some stuff. So I'm Brian Moed. I'm the CEO of Advance2000, and like Joe said, actually he did a great intro. I'm an electrical engineer, but I've been an entrepreneur all my life, building businesses. Some of these businesses grew to be in an eight-figure business, literally. And so doing this, you say, well, Brian, why do you do what you do? Which I continue doing, because I love helping people. If I can help other business owners, save them steps along the way so they don't make the same mistakes I've done, hopefully this webinar would be some of these webinars like this one and others would hopefully serve that purpose. So thanks, Joe, for the intro.
All right. Hey, Jim, over to you. Give us a little bit more about your background. I tried to kind of sketch your background a bit, and also what led you into the world of TCO for IT.
So, Joe, a great introduction. Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to be here. And thank you for inviting me. Total cost of ownership is actually a concept that I've been working with for over 40 years. In my corporate life, we had multi-billion-dollar budgets, and we would acquire factories and machine tools and do new product development, those kinds of things. And I always use TCO as a way to look at what the cost was, the current state versus the future state, and what the net present value was to the company in terms of dollars to the bottom line. TCO has become such a large, or technology has become such a large component of business expenses today that it just became a natural transition to use TCO when taking a look at making any kind of IT investment.
Great. Brian, why would you say TCO is more relevant today than ever before?
People, I think a lot of businesses are stuck a little bit in the past. If you look at technology today, technology is no longer a support function of the business. It is the business. If you really look at it, but every workflow, every client interaction, every deliverable has to cross a path of technology. Depends on IT, and because of that, a true cost of IT sometimes goes beyond just simple hardware and software. A lot of times people ignore this, and I really believe with the more complexity and unpredictability of IT today, with the cyber threat and everything, a lot of business owners, when they look at just simply just the price of the infrastructure that they're buying, they're missing on probably 70% of the true cost of things. There's a lot of hidden costs that literally dwarf the direct expense that they think they're spending on infrastructure. That's why understanding, in my opinion, honestly, I see it every day. Understanding the true TCO will allow business owners to make much smarter decisions and reduce risk in the process and gain a competitive advantage.
Thanks, Brian. Jim, same question to you. Why is TCO more relevant today than ever before?
So if you throw up that graphic, I think it'll be very clear to everybody what we're talking about. And this is to build upon what Brian already said. Back when I started my career in the early 80s, that information technology, that green bubble was really small because information technology was only a small part of what we did. If you look at it today, everything is built upon the information technology and the need for data analytics. And so when we work on a project, we look for that optimal combination of technology, people, process, and cobotics. And that's the basis for which we do our TCO analysis because of the importance of technology as the backbone to every business. And you start adding things like AI and cloud computing, and that bubble is only going to continue to get bigger. And if you start thinking about cobotics, which is the use of technology in order to help humans do certain projects, and the ability to increase productivity through low code tools, you find that that TCO becomes the total cost of ownership becomes much more relevant when you compare it to its impact on the P&L.
Yeah, certainly. That's a great graphic, Jim. Thanks for sharing that. Brian, what do you feel is the biggest misconception business leaders have about IT cost?
I think the biggest misconception is they don't realize the actual operational impact of not looking at their IT holistically. And that includes, loss of productivity, loss from low systems if they have systems that are old, downtime, outages, poor collaboration between their team, between their customers, not to mention cyber incidents. So when you look at all these things, a lot of times business owners, they look at the cost of IT. Again, they're a little bit stuck in the past. I've been in the IT for 35 years. And I'm still trying to always let people know how much they're dependent on IT. A lot of CEOs don't really realize this and how much they're losing for not having, a really holistic picture of things.
Got it. Thanks, Brian. Jim, where would you say companies typically underestimate cost the most in your experience?
So they typically underestimate cost because they don't look at the impact that information technology has on the business. If you can throw up that other graphic, the impact that the information technology backbone has on productivity in the business. I read an interesting article this morning that said that people believe that AI has freed up over an hour a day of people's time because of their ability to do things. If you look at that graphic, our view of a company is that there's basically three horizontal business processes: market-facing activities, the technology backbone, and the supply chain. And every business has a supply chain. You take an input, you add value to it, and you deliver a service or a product to a customer. So where most people don't understand the cost of IT is they look at it as strictly as a cost rather than the potential impact that cost can have on the productivity of market-facing activities, the supply chain, and the bottom line on P&L.
Got it. Pretty cool. Hey, Brian, you manage infrastructure, skill sets, and cost all under one umbrella.
Right.
How does this simplify TCO for clients?
Sure. It's interesting. I was just looking at Jim's chart, and it's exactly it. People sometimes don't look at the big picture and see the whole process through. So the way our solutions, the way we created the Advance2000 solutions, is actually support the lowest TCO possible. And if you look at many businesses today, they're fragmented. Their IT is fragmented. They have multiple vendors. They have departments. Sometimes they have support here and support there. With us, we bring it all together. So think of it like pretend you're ill, hopefully not, and you're going to a hospital, and you have one team that's able to take care of you from A to Z. You're not having to go to different specialists and different hospitals or different clinics. So our approach to this, by doing all these things and bringing it into one simplified way under one umbrella, where we take full ownership, which is a core value in our company, we turn IT from a cost center into a controlled, measurable an optimized business asset versus being, this component. So we have a very unique product with our customer portal where we're able to bring everything together under one umbrella for people and make their life very simple.
Very cool. Thanks, Brian. So I'm going to ask you both two questions, and I want to hear answers from both of you guys. We're looking at the business impact now of bad TCO. Okay. So Jim, then over to Brian. What is the most expensive mistake companies make when buying information technology products and services?
So Group 50 works with companies ranging from startups all the way to $750 million or so. And those companies have grown from one little IT program to large enterprise systems, but they're typically made up of a patchwork quilt of software packages that were never intended to work together. And so they get this burden. There's a burden associated with attempting to try and get data moving back and forth and to do the appropriate data analytics. What we find is the biggest mistake people make is that they buy an IT package to solve an immediate problem in the business without looking holistically at that center technology backbone and understanding how it is going to interact with the other IT systems that they have. And I've over 100 examples of that, and we don't have enough time to go into it. But you look at a classic middle market company today, they run on QuickBooks. They might have a small MRP system someplace. They might have shipping done via another software package. And they work like crazy in order to try and get the three to talk to each other. And more often than not, build shadow systems, which are data that's moved down to an Excel spreadsheet in order for them to get take the data they have and get the information they need to make intelligent decisions in their business. So the biggest mistake is buying a software package to solve a problem rather than looking at the overall need of the business and attempting to buy software that solves many problems at once.
Got it. We're going to do another webinar, Jim, on those 100 examples that you have, but not for today. So Brian, in your experience, what is the most expensive mistake companies make when buying IT?
They look at the upfront cost of the hardware or the cloud or support contract without looking at, again, the biggest picture, and they assume that the lowest bid is the smartest decision. And in reality, the price that they're spending is probably the smallest part of the total cost. I think the most expensive mistake companies make is buying based on price instead of really outcome of things, and outcome based on a holistic view versus on a just I always give the metaphor. We all live on the same boat. I tell a lot of our employees, if the boat's sinking, if you're sitting on one on seat and you have a great looking seat, your seat's going to sink with the boat if you don't look at holistically the whole picture.
Got it. All right, so Jim, I can't get over those 100 examples that you have. I'm going to ask you for one example without mentioning the name of the company.
I'm going to have an example very soon also, since you brought that up. Okay,
I'm going to ask you too. Let me ask you too. So Jim, can you share a real example, again, no names needed, where poor TCO analysis led to millions in losses? Just a short vignette of an example.
All right. So we did work for a $350 million company in the CPG space, consumer products groups. And they were really struggling to meet the needs, the new product development needs of the company. And everything was done manually. And they had a multi-million-dollar ERP system. And so we did a TCO analysis of the cost of them introducing new products. And through that work, identified what's called a PLM, product lifecycle management system, that upon implementation added $115 million in enterprise value to that company.
Wow, that's a great example. Brian, real example where poor TCO analysis led to millions in losses.
Oh my God. Yeah, this actually hurts. I still think about this. Yes, unfortunately, I've seen several, but this one here, some of my salespeople know this because I've told them about it. This example, you know, it's a large firm, a large AEC firm in Texas, basically nearly $1 billion in size, collapse overnight. From the outside, really, from the outside, people assumed it was it was like they had internal financial problem, but in reality, they did not. Their IT foundation was fragmented, was poorly managed, and they consistently made short-term decisions. And they listened to me. Sadly, and it really bothers me that I couldn't convince certain people. They ended up getting up ransomware and going out of business, and their entire asset. Think of it: this $1 billion company, their entire assets ended up being liquidated, I think, for less than $39 million. And a lot of people lost their jobs. So ignoring TCO doesn't just erode margins; it could actually jeopardize the entire business. Especially when it gets into the cybersecurity and that component of things.
Wow. Two very powerful stories. Thanks, guys. But Brian, you're a managed service provider. You're delivering 24/7, 365 services to customers. How does Advance2000 prevent those expensive surprises for your customers?
Yeah, I've always looked at IT as a three-legged stool. Your infrastructure, the skill set. The infrastructure is basically all the hardware, whether you own or you're renting or you're leasing or your lines that you have, carriers and so on. And the skill set is all the IT staff that you have currently in there, and also the MSPs that are supporting you, and then the budget, which is the money that's being used to buy that infrastructure, pay for those skill sets, also buy the software necessary. If you look at the success of your business, if you're a CEO, it really sits on top of that three-legged stool. And so we do an IT strategy, Advance2000 IT strategy assessment, where we look at all of that holistically to make sure those mechanisms are actually capable of driving your business where you're looking to do it, and also eliminating those risks. Like that previous example that I mentioned, could have been, that huge loss of money, eliminating those things. So our Advance2000 IT strategy assessment addresses all of that.
Excellent, excellent. Let's switch gears now and talk about TCO and modernization. Let's look at how to lower cost without lowering performance. Let me start with Jim. Jim, when you evaluate companies, how often is IT overspending due to outdated models or redundant systems?
So going back to the previous conversation, most lower middle market companies or middle market companies are made up of a patchwork quilt of systems that were never designed to work together. And so in many cases, they have systems that are sitting next to each other that have many similar capabilities. QuickBooks, for example, does inventory, but it does it poorly. So they buy an inventory system, which has the ability to do financials, and they start piecing all these things together, and they're spending far too much money. The other thing that really gets me going is, and I'll give you a personal example. I like to think of myself as a pretty good Excel user, but I'll bet that I use less than 5% of the capabilities of Excel. And when we do value stream maps inside of companies looking at how they interact with their technology backbone, we often find that they have software systems that are capable of doing a heck of a lot more for them. And they have the ability to get significantly more leverage out of their existing system rather than adding another one on top of it. And so that is the single biggest Achilles heel for middle market companies, where they are not looking at how they can continue to increase the leverage of their existing IT investment.
How do you help them over that hump, Jim? How do you get them thinking about new models?
Well, we look at what they're doing with their existing software or their existing system, and oftentimes we'll invite the company that owns that system to come in and actually do, and they'll do it for free a lot of times, to come in and say, how can you better answer the question, how can we better use the technology we already own?
Great, great.
And just one last piece. One of my clients was 9 revisions behind on updating their ERP system. And when we went through those 9 revisions, we found that many of the issues they had inside their business were resolved by new software updates.
Got it. Got it. All right. Hey, Brian, over to you. Now, again, you're delivering
Right.
services to customers. You're delivering performance at a cost. How do you lower cost without lowering performance?
You lower costs without lowering performance by eliminating inefficiencies, fragmentations, and unpredictability. And honestly, by not cutting capability. You're not going to, at the end of the day, the idea here is to increase productivity. Most companies overspend on IT because their environment is disorganized. And the goal here is not to do less, it's to do IT, to basically make IT smarter, more integrated, and more predictable, so really companies can do more with less. So yeah, really eliminating, kind of what Jim said, there's a lot of these fragmentation a little bit, he's still talking about in the software. We see that across vendors, on hardware, on a whole bunch of stuff. Also, things that aren't set up, correctly. Sometimes companies actually overspend on IT, not underspend, and sometimes companies underspend. So by doing all these type of things, I think that's how we increase performance, and also lower costs in many cases.
Very cool. All right, good conversation about TCO and modernization. Let's switch to my favorite topic now, which is cybersecurity and compliance within TCO. So, Brian, what would you say is the financial impact of moving from reactive security to proactive risk management?
I mean, if you look at just the one example with the architectural firm that I mentioned, that was classic reactive security. And again, I'm not pushing ourselves as a security. With our solution at Advance2000, people get literally the security stack for free. I mean, with the package, because we provide that holistic view. But having a reactive security means you're only addressing threat, after something goes wrong. You're not really looking at things that could cause you problems, and which could lead, as a business, could lead to millions in downtime, loss in productivity, sometimes unrecoverable things, or recovery efforts that cost a lot of money, legal exposure, and one huge thing is also your reputational damage. So if you look at by being proactive, you will eliminate all of these type of things, and you'll eliminate those type of risks to your business. And honestly, I look at that component. People look at those costs of cybersecurity, which when we will talk here in they're actually a miniature compared to the risk and damage that cause if you're not being proactive about things.
So, Brian, if I could ask you just to talk a moment about, I know you have a cybersecurity risk assessment, and maybe you can just talk about that for a moment and describe what it does and how to access it.
Sure. I mean, our cybersecurity risk assessment, we practically give it away. Again, our company, I founded the company on really, what I love to do is help companies. So I'm an engineer, so I don't like inefficiencies, and I love helping companies, and if I can help business owners basically avoid missteps, costly missteps. That's what I enjoy doing. That's what drives me and makes me get up every morning. So look at cybersecurity. We have this cybersecurity risk assessment that we provide clients that basically, it's $1,500. We charge literally, some of our competitors charge like thousands of dollars for these things. But let make no mistake, the $1,500 is not, you're not getting $1,500, you're getting a lot more than that. But we do it because we're looking to help businesses in the hopes that we can build a relationship on other things with them where it's a sustainable long-term relationship. So the ROI is very clear on this by having this proactive type of cybersecurity thing. If we do a cybersecurity assessment, we can guide you towards that. It's an order of magnitude cheaper than you dealing with headaches with not having.
Thanks, Brian. All right. So Jim, how do we do TCO around cybersecurity? And I ask that because there's always a bit of a gamble in cybersecurity. There's the unknown unknowns. There are new threats coming up every day. Very difficult to quantify how much should I be spending on cybersecurity. We know that we've seen clients get ransomware or get hacked and get really taken out of business and incur expenses no one could have really calculated. So this is kind of like, do you feel lucky, punk? Kind of a question, right? How do we know how to do a TCO analysis around cybersecurity? What would you offer?
So when we do TCO analysis, we're looking at actual costs comparisons. Current state, future state. Buying decision one, buying decision two. In a more detailed TCO analysis, we also look at cost avoidance and look at what the potential impact of not doing one thing or another might have on the business. What are the potential opportunities for productivity and those kinds of things that all can be baked into the ROI for making one decision versus another. So we'll ask the question, in your current state, let's just say you spend $10,000 a year. The future state is $15,000 a year, but it includes cybersecurity protection, right? Now we need to look at, well, what would it cost you to do for cybersecurity protection, right? And what would that insurance look like, et cetera? So we're now looking at what the relative benefits are and the additive benefits that you get with making one choice versus another. The other thing that I think is really important to point out, Joe, is that the cost of having subject matter experts who know how to do all of these things like cybersecurity, like cloud, like AI, it's not possible to have those people in place in small, lower middle market and middle market companies. So just like with Group 50, where we view ourselves as a one-stop shop for manufacturing and distribution companies, where you never have to go out and get another consulting firm to work on it. Advance2000 is very similar in that all of those experts reside inside the corporation, and you have the ability to take advantage of that. And so our two business models are simpatico from that perspective, in that we have a house of subject matter experts, just like you have a house of subject matter experts, so that we can truly deal with the needs of a company, either from their performance in the marketplace or their technology backbone.
Yeah,
Brian,
great
you're
answer.
smiling.
Yeah, Jim, thank you. I really appreciate that. That's exactly how we view ourselves as well, and I appreciate it that's exactly how we look at things. I just want to point out that, in my opinion, cybersecurity investment, basically, it's one of the highest return on investment a business can make. People that ignore that, they are foolish. They don't know what they should not ignore that. So please do not ignore that if you're ignoring that.
Yeah. So Brian, let me ask you a simple question, Brian. I think I know the answer. Does cybersecurity today cost more, or is being insecure a way to save money? What would you say to that? Here's a softball question for you.
Well, obviously, the cybersecurity, in the past maybe was cheaper, but it's a drop in the bucket at the risk that you're taking by not doing these type of things. I mean, think of it. Hey, it's a relative thing, right? You're spending a little bit more on cybersecurity, but you're getting that insurance that basically protects you. You definitely have to invest in these type of cybersecurity. If you don't, you're really risking the whole business. I've seen it. I mean, I have a hard time sometimes. Like, I'm always trying to convince customers, you got to spend money on this. You can't ignore this. And that's where I failed with that one architectural firm. I had a CIO there that thought he knew what he was doing, and we wanted to help, and they just didn't. They weren't spending the right money in the right places, and sadly, the whole business went out of business because of the mistake of the few.
So Brian, if I'm running a business and you talk about spending money in the right places,
Right.
how would you categorize the kind of investments that should be made for an intelligent investment in cybersecurity?
Well, the way you would do it, I mean, we'd have to do an assessment, and we'd look and we'd provide you with the ideas where your gaps are and how to not only remediate but also maintain and the cost. This is where we also do a TCO to make sure that's all in line, and that's how we do it.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to go to our last topic, but before I do, I want to encourage folks to hit the Q&A button at the bottom. We're going to take some questions at the end. So kind of get yours prepared and submit them in writing, and we'll go through them and address them. But I want to switch gears again and look at the future of total cost of ownership and information technology. Really want you guys to put on your futuristic hats here, and let's think about where we're going. So, Jim, how do you expect artificial intelligence, automation, and cloud economics to influence future TCO studies?
So it's interesting. It depends on how you want to do the TCO analysis. If you're just doing a comparison between today's cost and replacing what you do today, that's a very, very straightforward analysis. But if your strategy is to take advantage of AI, automation, cobotics, and cloud economics in order to significantly improve that middle horizontal process in your business, then you need to look at what kind of positive impact they can have on your business. And it's a little more detailed study, but it's all part of putting together the appropriate IT strategy for your business and understanding how to apply AI, automation, cobotics, and cloud to making your entire business more efficient and financially much better, providing financially much better performance.
Cool. Let me follow up on you there for a second, Jim, because we all know about what some folks will call the AI bubble. This is where we're investing heavily in building AI infrastructure, and the question is, where will the ROI be? Rewind 25 years ago when we were laying all kinds of fiber before the demand was there, and it all went dark and WorldCom went bust. So there's a dynamic here with the economics of investment, right? So, and there's a huge disruption opportunity. So if I'm a business owner, I know AI, automation, the cloud can really totally change my business, but I've got to make a decision as to how much I'm going to invest in that today to be ready for that future state. Again, some of this sounds like gambling, right? Where do you put your money on the table to know where to be ready for the future? How do you help folks through that decision process?
So, as far as a potential AI bubble is concerned, that's an investment, and that's all personal as part of your investment portfolio. As far as a business is concerned, though, I'm old enough to have gone to when I went to engineering school, the handheld calculator didn't come out until my sophomore year, and it cost more than my full semester tuition. Okay, so I've lived through this whole technology environment, if you will, and seen what kind of impacts this has had on businesses. And you look at the internet bubble that occurred back in the late 90s, we were using computers, we saw desktops and those kinds of things, and all of us were trying to figure out what is the internet going to do for us, and we didn't get it. Okay. And we've seen what kind of impact, positive impact it's had on our business. As a matter of fact, one of my clients right now, 60% of his sales is internet based. And there are thousands and thousands of companies that are internet based only in terms of sales. We need to have a little bit of trust and belief that AI has the potential to be as disruptive to the way we operate a business today. I can talk for an hour on what kind of impact it's had on the work that I do in us now using AI, right? But I can tell you just one example of a current client who has 75% of their customer service calls satisfied by an AI-based chatbot in customer service. That's just one example. A second example is the application of AI to your supply chain. And so what we really need to do as far as the future is concerned is understand what the possibilities are of the application of these new technologies to our business. Going back to my original comment, which is how can I better leverage the technology that I have today, and how can I supplement it to make it even more dynamic?
Yeah, that's a great answer, Jim. So, I mean, the short of it is that if I'm a business owner, you can help me to quantify my investment decisions around using some of these new technologies like AI, automation, and cloud.
Absolutely. And we can include it in a TCO analysis and give you an ROI expectation.
All right, that's better than the dartboard I'm using right now. So, I'm going to reach out to you.
Good, cool.
Brian, over to you. So, Advance2000 obviously really accompanies your customers into the future of IT. How do you help them stay ahead of the cost and risk curve? Same question. AI is coming on, automation's coming on, the cloud is constantly changing, new chips are coming out all the time. How do you partner with companies to prepare them for the future relative to IT and the total cost of ownership of it?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we are always, I'll be honest with you, we're always ahead of the curve. So we practice on ourselves before we ship it to the client, and on our several businesses that we own as well. So as a company, I'd like to think of ourselves as great technology innovators, and I can go to several technology. Like we have our own private AI right now to eliminate, I see as intellectual theft, in my opinion, when you put it out there, and it's just as powerful that I think companies will definitely benefit and leverage internally to do exactly what Jim is talking about regarding, whether the customer service and all that kind of stuff. At the same time, great technologies, including AI. There's a lot of people right now. AI is a big buzzword. AI, this AI, and it's a huge buzzword. And I'm not saying you should dismiss AI, but there's a lot of great technology. There's a lot of things that you can do outside of AI as well that we're looking at that will help companies with TCO. We like to look at ourselves. We're not only a private cloud provider to protect companies with their intellectual property. We like to look at it in a holistic MSP and AI. Give you an example. We've developed our own hypervisor to deal with costs associated with VMware that when they got purchased by Broadcom, and we're leveraging that internally ourselves. So there's a lot of this type of technology that we're developing. We do resell some other technology, but these are things that we develop internally to try to help companies. And when I look at the industry itself, the industry is moving towards higher complexity, higher cyber risk, higher cost. I like to basically move our client the opposite direction, to basically simplification, so they can focus on their business. And simplification, not in terms of losing performance, but simplification where they don't have to worry about having 5 vendors and all that. And a lot of times the IT folks that are in there in these organizations, we partner with them, and they're overwhelmed. Especially people, like if you're working as an IT person working at a law firm, you're struggling with or any type of company. You're always having to learn. You're struggling with learning in your daily job. So we're a perfect partner that we can provide that holistic view and help them. Like I always look at, if I'm in the ocean, I was talking with Jim earlier before the webinar. I said, I go fishing a lot. And Jim said, hey, I go fishing too. And sometimes you're like 30 miles offshore. And if you're 30 miles offshore, you look around, you don't see any land. Where's land here? Where's land? There's no land. And if that GPS on your boat, and I have a couple of them, actually multiple, your phone doesn't work, so you can't navigate back. So we look at it how and helping customers navigate this complexity, reducing and actually delivering that TCO and the predictable cost, so they can their business remains very sustainable.
Awesome. So guys, let's start rounding this out now. I'm going to officially give you guys a soapbox. What is one piece of advice you would give a CEO before they make their next major IT investment? Let's start with you, Jim. What is one piece of advice you would give a CEO before they make their next major IT investment?
So I could be on this soapbox for a long time, but I'll try and keep it short. Brian said something that was very interesting. He used the word holistic. And why that is so interesting is that when you make an IT investment, while you might be focused on solving a very specific problem, you really need to stand back and look at what kind of impact that investment can make on your business. What are the change management requirements in terms of how I get my people to now you train them and use a new software package, and that's part of the TCO analysis. What business workflows and processes do I need to redesign in order to be able to effectively use it? What does the new software system, what does how does its capabilities impact other aspects of my business? And we often do something called a value stream map where we look at the workflows that are impacted by that investment and identify shadow systems and wasted efforts and wasted lead times and those kinds of things, and pull that all together so that you have a holistic view of what the potential impact of that IT investment is. And as importantly, that IT investment needs to be part of a broader, well thought through IT strategy for your business. It's not just a matter of buying a software program. It's about building that backbone that your business runs on. And I'm an inherently lazy guy. I don't like, I want to do work. I want to solve lots and lots of problems with my effort rather than focus on just one. And so that's my biggest advice. Make sure you understand the impact of that software and that IT investment from a holistic perspective, and make sure it's part of a very robust and well thought through long-term IT strategy.
Yeah, that's great. I would think if I were a CEO, I would probably recognize that I may not have that holistic view in my company, and bringing you in to help us could be really a great idea.
Thank you.
That would be a fantastic idea.
Brian, again, what's one piece of advice you would give a CEO before they make their next major IT investment? Remember, we're still 2025. People are planning their 26 budgets. What would you recommend?
I was thinking about that when you asked Jim. So my advice, don't evaluate IT based on price. Evaluate it based on outcome, risk, and long-term total cost of ownership. So most CEOs make ID decisions somewhat like based on cost today and all that. You got to look at how fast is your team going to work, how much downtime you're going to avoid, how well your workflow are going to be optimized, how much your cybersecurity is going to be eliminated, the risks are going to be eliminated, how predictable your operational costs in the future, how well your IT partner supports you. Like with us, you'll be dealing with one that's able to holistically deal with all of these things. So you're not dealing with 50 that maybe not 50, but multiple, where the ownership gets into discount, which we don't like at all. So before you're doing, if you're a CEO, which I've been CEO of not only Advance and multi other companies, if you're the CEO before making this type of major investment, and I always put my CEO lens on, not as a technology CEO, but also as a CEO of my previous company, which was a logistics company of over almost $250 million in revenue. I look at it, will this decision that I make going to make my business faster, safer, more predictable for the next 5 years? If the answer is clearly yes, if the answer isn't clearly yes, then don't invest in it. You should have somebody like us do your TCO, and like Jim and I, and help you with this.
Great. Hey, that brings us to the end of our formal questions. We want to get into audience Q&A now. So if you haven't had a chance to submit your questions, please do so. But I've got a couple here. I'm going to take on right off the top. So, Jim, can you describe what a TCO analysis or audit looks like? We're offering this service together jointly, Advance 2000 and Group 50. If I called Advance 2000 and we set one up, what would I expect?
Well, of course, it depends on how much detail you want to go into, but we're offering the quick TCO analysis where we have built Excel-based templates with a list of all the known IT costs that we've ever come across. And we will send that to, we'll introduce TCO to you in a half an hour introduction Zoom meeting, and we'll send the template to you and ask you and your team to put all of that information together. And then whatever the other side that you're evaluating in terms of an additional changes or investment, we'll work with that side to create the same answers. And then we'll do an ROI analysis. And our ROI analysis will not only tell you what the expected return on investment is going to be, but also what the net present value of that investment is to you in today's dollars. A much more detailed TCO analysis might include that, looking at how we're going to leverage our technology, how we're going to change processes and workflows and those kinds of things. And that's done on a per project basis.
Got it. All right, another question here. Brian, I had mentioned says here that I mentioned the 4 pillars: TCO, performance, security, and privacy. And you did mention something called private AI. Where does privacy fit in the whole TCO equation? How should folks look at that?
Well, people don't realize maybe they do realize it. Everything you put on your AI out there, it becomes kind of public information. These AIs get smarter on your intellectual property. I think that's got a cost. So this is where I think the private AI comes into play. So you ask yourself, if you're a business owner, what's the cost of my intellectual property? Am I willing to share it with the world? A lot of people don't realize this. So, if you read the fine print, a lot of whether OpenAI or any of those things, that's how that AI is getting smarter, is using your intellectual property. Do you want to do that? Is that something you're open to?
Wait, Brett, are you saying we shouldn't just blindly trust big tech? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah, don't be surprised if one day I won't. You'll have I won't say who they are. You already know who the big techs are. You got Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and all. You'd have the Amazon AEC firm or Amazon law firm, and next thing you know, your data becomes theirs. And so those are the things in my opinion, a lot of business owners have to pay attention to.
And what does Advance 2000 do to help protect privacy?
Well, we obviously our entire cloud is a private cloud, so your environment is your environment, doesn't go out there. And we have this AI that is very similar to the ones that are out there, and more powerful. And I'll be glad to demonstrate that when time comes. We're in beta right now, and where your data remains your data. Literally at the end of the day, your business is your business. It shouldn't be anybody else's. But I'm not going to tell you how to run your business as CEO, but that's the way I would run my business as CEO.
Okay, cool. Hey, Brian, one more question for you here. You mentioned costs of cybersecurity are different now than in the past. How do you and the team at Advance 2000 continue to evaluate all the options available in the market and choose the best suited products to implement in today's small or medium-sized businesses?
Yeah, so I just want to point out, we're partnered on some of these things with some of the top products in the industry, but we're not really, we say partnered. If you look at us as a company, we make little money on people's product. That's not our value. We're just doing it to basically help the company. So when we look at cyber security today, we look at, example, if you look at let's look at this insurance. Okay, they have a list of things they want to insure. You have to have, example, you have to have MFA, you have to have endpoint protection, you have to have all these stuff, you have to have managed detection and response. So we have all these things, and we we keep that. We also have our own things that we see, and we have a risk scorecard that we provide the client that they see in real time every day. So if a business owner, that's like heaven for me. I'm able to see that my business always, here's my business, and I feel if my risk score is up there, I feel good. This is great. And so not only we save them on insurance premium, but so going to be your question is, back then the technology wasn't as complex. So they were you'd pay, let's pick an endpoint protection. Maybe you paid you bought and you paid $10 or $5 for an endpoint protection per endpoint, and now you're paying maybe up to 15. I'm just throwing numbers. I don't all that kind of stuff. You're paying up to 15, but the complexity of the hacking and that increased exponentially, and so there's a slightly more increase in cost if you look at dollar. There's an increase in cost, no doubt about it. If you look at time value of money, maybe not, but you have to take these things very, very seriously.
Cool. Hey, Brian, Jim, I want to thank you guys for joining us today for this deep dive into total cost of ownership. I want to turn it back over to Katie to kind of wrap us up, and thank you all for attending today.
Jim, thank you. Joe, thank you for meeting you guys.
And thank you for having me. It's been a real
pleasure.
Yeah, I just want to invite everybody, if you want to dive into the world of TCO audits further, we'd be happy to set up a discussion with you. Email us at solutions@advance2000.com or call us at the number you see there. We'd be happy to set up a time with one of our experts and engage in a discussion with you. But with that, Katie?
Yes. Thank you, Joe, for hopping in to be our moderator today. And big thank you to Brian and Jim for taking the time to share your thoughts and insights and information. And we look forward to hearing from you to request a TCO audit. Just additional follow-up, so stay tuned for more information on our January webinar that'll be coming out soon. And please feel free to visit our website and follow and subscribe to our social media channels to stay up to date on the most up-to-date information that we've got. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and thank you for joining.
Happy holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays.
Thank you.